Afternoon, Reds. Welcome back to the show. This is your match reaction and player ratings. Brighton 0, Liverpool 2. Again, a kind of a laboured and workman-like performance, but certainly nothing to be getting overly gassed about, except for the result. 3 points in the bag, close the gap on Man City again to 3, who have a tricky little visit to Selhurst Park on Monday night before we meet Arsenal on Wednesday at the Emirates. Interesting performance today insofar as nothing that we haven't seen over the last couple of weeks, insofar as we're solid at the back. The odd time we call on Alisson. A midfield that's, what would I say, workman-like more so than creative. And a front line that's misfiring, to say the least. Mane and Salah again, I would suggest, are absolutely shattered. Mane again sloppy in possession today. I don't know how many times he missed past. I don't know how many times he feels the need to go down under challenge, whereas in the past he was much stronger, and tends to look to the referee constantly for protection. And we've seen it today with Salah as well, who picking up the ball a number of times and literally just ending up on his backside, staring at the referee, looking for a free, when clearly just being bullied off the ball at times. So, where do we begin with this? First 10 minutes, Brighton looked really up for it, created a number of chances. We were lucky with the Maupay chance, just went the wrong side of the post. Alisson may have it covered, I'm not too sure, but he was pretty close. But it was a real good chance, and a better quality of player might stick it away. Who knows? But we wrote a look anyway, and in 19 minutes, who steps up but Joel Matip, the current player of the month, steps up with a supplying ball into Luis Diaz, who takes a header off the turf. Very brave header, puts the ball in the back of the net, and gets absolutely creased by Sanchez. You will not see a better move on the reruns of Cobra Kai on Netflix. Goes to VAR, and VAR don't seem to have a problem with it. Although the replay shows that Sanchez comes flying out, doesn't get anything near the ball, and wasn't even looking at the ball. He was totally focused on the player, and goes in and smashes Luis Diaz up with a high leg and a high arm to the chest and the neck area. And VAR don't seem to have a problem with this. Now, from my point of view, looking at that, if that's outfield, it's a free kick and a minimum of a booking. And it's dangerous play. And it's dangerous play in terms of the welfare of a player. When you go back and you look at the replay, you can clearly see Sanchez isn't even looking at the ball. He's looking directly at Luis Diaz, and he doesn't. Now, if that ball doesn't go into the back of the net, I believe clearly that is a red card and a penalty. But because it's a goal, for some reason, that fool on the pitch in the black kit and the other fool in Stockley Park seem to think they don't need to make a meal of it, because Liverpool got a goal anyway. And it's absolutely ridiculous. It's a ridiculous call. And that player could have been seriously injured. He was down. He got absolutely clattered. But I think only his strength and movement avoided him getting seriously injured. So it bewilders me how these things happen. But we do go 1-0 up on Luis Diaz. And I had mentioned on a couple of previews that I'd like to see some end product from the boy, and we got one today, so we can't really complain. In terms of the actual first half, I just think at times we are just so wasteful in possession. I think we give up the ball too easily. I think Robbo had a few problems with Lamptey on the wing, and we have to have a shout out to Luis Diaz here as well, because not only was his attacking play today really, really good in terms of his pace and in terms of his movement, but also his overlapping recovery in defence was absolutely brilliant today as well. And it's great to see the boy absolutely working that hard for the team. It was absolutely fantastic to see it. But we win 1-0 up. Workman like more than convincing. Brighton kind of at times looked like that team that I think is on a 4-game losing run, now 5. And you would think a team like Liverpool into the quarterfinals of the Champions League, into the quarterfinals of the FA Cup, just won the Carabao Cup, and is in a massive title race with Man City, would put these guys to the sword. And that you would think that a game like this, no disrespect to Brighton or any of our Brighton viewers, but the level of Liverpool compared to Brighton should be massive. And if we were just a little bit less selfish in the front three, it seems that between Mane and Salah, they want to be the individual heroes. And they're forgetting that the assist for a goal is celebrated nearly as much as the goal. And that there's no harm every so often playing to your fellow teammate for the good of the team and the good of the result. And we are creating this anxiety and this nervousness and this drama that doesn't need to be created in terms of the chances that we are getting. I think we are greatly misfiring. If you look at Mane today and you look at Salah today, most of the shots that they had were literally passbacks. And so from that point of view, it's very poor. And those two boys need a serious shake-up at the moment. And it doesn't help either the day before a big game like this, where we're going into a title race to close the gap of Man City, that we have an idiot of an agent coming out talking shite about Mo Salah, trying to derail everything that's good about the club at the moment. So that needs to be looked at too. Mane does crop up with a shot on 61 minutes, and it's a handball, and a penalty is awarded. And of course, Mo Salah steps up with the penalty, no less than what we'd expect from Mo Salah. Absolutely buries it straight down the middle, no chance for Sanchez, who dives to the left, I think. So we go 2-0 up. And once we went 2-0 up, then there was kind of a calmness about the performance. It was that like kind of that relief goal that we were looking for. But I always say to people as well, 2-0 is a very dangerous scoreline, because if Brighton had taken a chance or two, we could have been in real trouble. And they had a couple of chances. Alisson made a real good fingertip save, and he also came flying out of the box to claim that ball on the edge of his box. And only for his own agility, we could have been in trouble in terms of keeping the ball in the box. On 65 minutes, Klopp decides to freshen it up. Midfield had gone a bit stale. Keita, I think, at that stage had ran his course, and wasn't really having an influence on the game, although he was a bit of biting the tackles. Again, his distribution and his forward play wasn't really that existing today. So on 65 minutes, Thiago came off from Keita to put a bit of guile into the performance, if you like. Jota came on for Salah, but again, Jota came on, didn't really do a whole lot, and seems to be struggling somewhat since he came back off the injury. So those were the substitutions, and then Milner comes on in the 85th or 86th minute to replace Hendo, which is really only a tactical substitution, really. But it was a game really there where it could have been potentially a tough game. We've seen what happened at Anfield. They do have players in the team like Gross and Trossard and Maupay and Lamptey who can hurt you. Lamptey, I should say, who can hurt you. And it was a good one to get out of the way, get the 3 points, get out there and move on and start preparing for Arsenal. I was buoyed by the lineup. I was fearful yesterday listening to the press conference that maybe we weren't going to have Van Dijk and Konate and Thiago, that there might be a problem in terms of COVID. I don't know whether they tested positive, because Klopp doesn't allude to that, or whether they were false positives or whatever they were. But I was really buoyed by the fact that Van Dijk and Thiago was on the bench, so that was a good thing. And hopefully Konate will be back soon. But Matip had a real good game today. I thought Diaz was man of the match. I think he brought the most energy today, in terms of chasing things down and also tracking back. I thought Alisson was really good today when called upon. Doesn't often get called upon, but when called upon. And I just think it was workmanlike for us without being, there wasn't that many moments in the game, if you like. And I think Brighton looked like a team who have had a tough season and who were on a little bit of a bad run and on a bit of a slide, um, which is unusual for Graham Potter's teams. If you look at the ratings, get into them, some of them might be a bit contentious, but I mean, Allison gets a 7. I mean, the fingertip save and also the ball on the edge of the box, he did well for those things. And his distribution today was pretty good as well. Trent gets a 7. I think at times his play is really, really good. I think at times the link-up play with Salah feels now a little bit forced instead of a little bit natural. And I think that's an issue around the park for us at the moment, that things seem to be a little bit forced as the pressure of this title race ratchets up. We seem to be forcing things rather than the natural way we have of doing things. So our passing seems to be overthinking all the time, instead of just a natural way of knowing where players are going to be because of our formation and putting the ball into those spaces. So Matip got an 8 today. I thought he was really, really good. I like the way he's starting to take the ball out of play now to create things. There's not too many centre backs in the league who do that. Thiago Silva probably would be one, but Matip was fantastic, and that ball he played into Diaz was a fantastic ball. A ball, I mean, he could have easily been man of the match today, Matip as well, but Diaz, just for his energy and what he brought and his bravery for that goal, gets him over the line on man of the match. Van Dijk I gave a 7 to. Strong as always, but I still get a little bit concerned, and it's only a small thing, and I know you guys are going to come at me and go, you're giving out about Van Dijk. He seems to want to stand off players every so often when they move towards the box to have an effort. And I think we will find that we will get punished, similar to what happened with Lautaro Martinez during the week for the Inter Milan game. We've seen it again today when the ball was picked up out on the right. Instead of going to close that down and clear the danger, he's standing off, tempting you to pull the trigger. And we can't assume that Alisson is going to save these every single time. You need to be really careful. Robbo, I gave a 6 to. I think he struggled in the first half to get to terms with Lamptey. But I think as the game went on, he got a little bit better at it. Some of it was a combination between himself and Diaz taking care of him, which I like to see the two of them working in tandem. But I think, again, his final ball needs to be better. And I think even that effort that he had at the back stick, he's questioning his own confidence. He could have took that first time, but he elected to take a touch or two. And when you see players in those positions taking a touch or two, you know that they're not where they should be. You think about last week's game, the City game, where the ball came over and it went to Mahrez and he just took it nearly half volley first time into the bottom corner. We need to do more of that. We seem to always want to take another touch. And always wanting to take another touch is a sign of pressure and a sign of a lack of confidence. So I'd like to see him just pull the trigger. Fabinho is 7, just does a solid job in there every time. Part of the reason, I suppose, that our midfield holds so strong at times. Hendo, I give a 7 to. Again, workmanlike from Hendo in there again, but I'd like to see him have much more of an influence on the game. I still don't think, as the captain of the club, he's having the influence that he should on games. I think he's become a part of a midfield instead of being the midfield, if you like. Small thing. Keita, I gave a 6 to today. I thought his work rate was okay, but I mean, if he is the guy that's going to be that creative role in midfield, he needs to bring so much more. And at times he was just kind of bullied in there at times, losing possession. I know he took a kind of a side kick to the head a little bit as well, which might have knocked him off his kilter a little bit. But I just don't think he's creating enough for us. And I think once Thiago's fully fit, I think he's the name that goes in there without a shadow of a doubt. So this is an opportunity for Keita to show what he's made of. He's getting a run in the team. And he just seems to be pittering out in a workmanlike way, like the rest of the team, rather than, stepping up to lay his marker down for that position in the team. Salah, I gave a 7 to. I thought he took this penalty really, really well. you could argue that he could get a 6. I thought again today, I thought he lacked that bit of energy. I don't see him ghosting by players with the speed and the pump that he normally has. I don't even see some of the trickery that he was showing early season where he was scoring a lot of goals. And I see him turning back. He seems to be coming out of the what we call that danger zone for scoring goals. He seems to be coming out of that danger zone and becoming more comfortable at being the kind of intricate passing playmaker on the wing. It's very difficult to pick up goals from that position. And I just think between himself and Trent as well, it doesn't look as organic and as natural as it was. It seems to be laboured and a lot of effort to make it happen. And I'd like to see him try and stay on his feet a little bit more as well. I think he's going down a little bit easy these days. Diaz, I give an 8-2, man of the match. I think he was the one that brought the energy today. I think his bravery for the goal was incredible. I think his defensive tracking back and covering for Robbo as well against Lamptey, I think was really, really good today. And I thought he was the shining light. And all I can say is thank God we signed him in January. Thank you very much, Tottenham Hotspur. Mane, I gave a 6-2. Again, sloppy in possession. Passing, really, really poor. Simple passing out to the wing, going out of play. Unacceptable at this level from him. And again, instead of using his energy and his trickery, tends to draw the foul more and tends to be going down more often than not. I'd like to see him stay on his feet more and use some of that trickery that we know that he has. But again, he looks laboured as well. Both himself and Salah look absolutely banjacks from the AFCON. Really, really struggling at times. Thiago came on, gave him a 7. Put a little bit of a stamp on the game, brought a little bit of energy to the midfield, but again, didn't use his nous and his vision to open up Brighton in any way. Jota, I gave a 6-2. Jota also coming off the bench. He looks like he's struggling a little bit as well. Coming back from that injury or whatever it is, he just seems to be a yard or two off where he normally is, and because of that, he tends to get frustrated and gives away needless fouls and could potentially pick up bookings. Milner didn't give a rating to. It was a tactical substitution before 5 minutes ago. It's something that we've seen in recent weeks now from Klopp. He uses this it's just to eat up a little bit of time basically. So I didn't give him a rating. But this has been your match reaction and player ratings for Brighton 0, Liverpool 2. We closed the gap, Reds. I'm not going to be too downbeat. I'd like to see an up in the performance. I think we'll have to do a lot better on Wednesday at the Emirates, although we normally go there and we normally do decent. I think Arsenal are buoyed at the moment by this top 4 race. I think Arteta has them playing really, really well in a system that they're now all beginning to understand. And I think it's going to take a heck of a performance to come out of there with the 3 points. But we will wait with bated breath to see what happens on Monday night at Selhurst Park. Can Palace do us a favour? Always a tough team to play. Always a tough place to go. And we know that Man City is missing a couple of players, so that may affect their performance. But wouldn't it be crazy if Palace were to pull out a win on Monday night and we were to beat Arsenal on Wednesday? And then I think we'd go top. But let's see what happens. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves at this stage. As always, take every game as a cup final. But I think the performance of the team needs to lift about 10 to 15%. I think there's a real lack of energy there, and we seem to be trying to ghost our way through games at the moment. And it's a real dangerous place to be. Until next time, Reds, we will be back during the week with a preview for the Arsenal game. Might do a preview with Morrison GP Productions if he's available. If not, I'll drop a preview for the game and you'll get your match reaction Wednesday evening right after the game. As always, we'll be back on Monday as well with the Monday matchup with the boys. We'll be going through all the talking points of the weekend. We'll be talking about the title race, the top 4 race, some brilliant games in this top 4 race coming up this weekend. So stay glued to your screens. It's going to be a heck of a weekend. As always, if you want to contact the show, the Upper Tier Podcast at gmail.com, on Twitter at Session Shankly, and we're on Facebook and Instagram, the Upper Tier, and you'll get clips out there on TikTok. Cheers, folks.